Assalamu alaikum. Let's cook. Today we're going to talk about a great woman by the name of Ella Collins, rahimahullah. Now let me help you understand who Ella Collins is. Ella Collins is the older sister of Malcolm X, Imam El-Hajj Malik El-Shabazz. Malcolm X, one of the greatest black men to walk the planet, in my opinion, and being a black man from America, he's the greatest amongst many great black men. Now, Ella Collins is Malcolm X's big sister. She played a very intricate role in his life. Ella was Malcolm's mother, his sister, his guardian, his confidant, his supporter, his everything. There would be no Malcolm X without Ella Collins. Malcolm's father, Reverend Earl Little, always told Ella that if anything were to happen to me, I want you to raise Malcolm. And eventually something did happen to him. Malcolm and Ella's father, Earl Little, was murdered by white supremacists. And when Malcolm's mother, Louise, could no longer raise Malcolm due to racial battle fatigue that manifested in mental illness, it was Ella who took care of Malcolm. Malcolm once said of his sister, Ella Collins, "She played a very significant role in my life. No other woman ever was strong enough to point me in directions. I pointed women in directions. Now she is financing me to Mecca." Malcolm X also said that his sister Ella Collins was the first really proud black woman that he had ever seen, and that he had never been so impressed with anybody. Now, Ella Collins, this great woman, she was born in Butler, Georgia in the year of 1914. Her and Malcolm shared the same father, Earl Little. She was Malcolm's sister from her father's first wife, whose name was Daisy Mason Little. At one point in life, Ella left the South. She moved to New York City. She was a hardworking black woman, just like all black people from the South. And at one point, she was the secretary for a black congressman by the name of Adam Clayton Powell. Many people know him. She eventually settled in Boston. She started to manage her mother's grocery store. She was a very wise and keen businesswoman. She was very strong in her belief that black people should work towards their own independence and having our own. She started to save her money. She began to invest in real estate properties. She was a black businesswoman very early in the game. Malcolm once told Ella, "I'll never do anything to hurt you. If you tell me, I'll go and get the stick so you can beat me with it." This great black woman, Ella, she nourished Malcolm mentally, physically. Ella also knew the importance of allowing a young black man to think, make mistakes, learn, and thrive. Ella was once asked about Malcolm's aggressive behavior and impulsiveness. Ella stated, "I stimulated it by allowing this side of his masculinity the space for expression." She said that she did not try to suppress Malcolm's aggressive behavior because she felt that a black man should be aggressive. When Malcolm got a little older and he started to drift a little and do his thing in the streets, she didn't like it or approve of it, but she allowed him to learn. When Malcolm was conking his hair and associating with white women, Ella was proud of her appearance as a dark-skinned black woman and did not dream of hiding it. When Malcolm was becoming criminally inclined, Ella was proud of her financial independence and honest living and helping lift members of her community out of poverty. Ella never gave up on Malcolm, and it was Ella who was a Muslim first. She was very instrumental in Malcolm changing his life and embracing Islam. Ella was very instrumental in establishing the Boston Mosque in the mid-50s before her departure in 1959. Something else interesting about Ella, she started to separate from the Nation of Islam and began to study Orthodox Islam at a masjid or mosque in Quincy, Massachusetts. And this is where she took her shahada. She also knew that it was only a matter of time before Malcolm made a similar move. It was Ella who paid for Malcolm to take his Hajj pilgrimage to Mecca. She also offered to pay for Betty as well, but Betty was not ready to take the leap at the time. Ella was actually saving her money to take the pilgrimage herself, but she gave the funds to Malcolm because she believed that it was Malcolm who should go first. When Malcolm spoke of his desire to make his pilgrimage, Ella replied, "How much do you need?" When Malcolm got back from his pilgrimage, Ella Collins stated that he returned home with 2 clear causes in his mind.
Malcolm was born the way he was. He was born, in fact, we waited for Malcolm's birth. We were of the superstitious tribe of Africa, the Wachusis, and we believed that the seventh child came with endowed with certain rights that would surpass other children of that family. So when he was born, we expected great things of Malcolm. Malcolm lived with me from 12 until he went to prison. I had a chance to discipline Malcolm in prison. Malcolm was an aggressive young boy. I admired it. I stimulated it. I felt that a black young man, over the period of 400 years in America, had been deprived of any aggressive thoughts. Even if you show aggressive thoughts before the white man, he would erase you, set you apart from the others as a villain. So, but I felt that in order for Malcolm, after my father's death and his mother's having gone to a hospital, I felt that it was my duty to stimulate his arrogance, stimulate his impulsiveness. Let him feel that life was the life that God gave him belonged to him. He didn't have to pay homage to anyone. This is how I guided him.
What kinds of influences do you think being in prison had upon him? What kind of effect?
In prison, I was able to really direct him into accepting facts as a guideline to life, not an illusion, something that's dramatized. Prison is real. If a God sees fit to throw you in solitary confinement, this is for real. Malcolm was able to see this and accept life from a realistic point of view. I think all of the illusions that he may have adopted in his youth from environment, I think he lost it in prison. I think he really saw life for real. And this was one of the most valuable assets that Malcolm did acquire in life, was courage, a matter of fact, to accept life from a realistic point of view. Nothing dramatized would interest Malcolm, nothing.
He became involved with the Muslims while he was in prison.
Yes, through my brother Reginald, he became involved with the black Muslims. And the black Muslim Islam, Elijah Muhammad gave him a chance to excel. Had not it been for Elijah Muhammad, I would have had to find possibly another field to project him through. But Islam, as it was then in a small, it was a very small thing at that time. And this gave Malcolm a chance to really excel and build the Nation of Islam. Much of the Nation of Islam is Malcolm.
Do you feel that being in the Muslims had a profound effect on Malcolm?
To some degree. It gave him a chance, as I said before, to recognize the needs of the masses of people. It also gave him a chance to recognize the lack of knowledge the masses contain. It also gave realize many of us that we are free. If we realize this word freedom and recognize it for what it means and watch the other people on earth exercise freedom, then we would not sing a song, we shall overcome, and walk up and down roads and beg for this and want poverty programs and all this type of thing. We would know that our ability to care for another race would give us more ability to care for our own needs, and we don't provide for ourselves.
Was Malcolm nonviolent? in your estimation?
Now, from my estimation, no man is nonviolent, no man is violent. Malcolm believed, as a man should believe, that if you strike him, it was his duty as a man to strike you back.
What kind of an effect did Malcolm have on you?
On me, I believe the effect he had on me was to see him grow from childhood into a dynamic figure, a man with an understanding of man and himself and life in itself. On me, he was to me like Jesus is to most Christians. I can imagine how the Virgin Mary felt about her Jesus. This is what Malcolm was to me. Each step that he grew, each time that the changes came, I could feel them and see them. I could see them in his manner, his approach to me, his respect for me. Malcolm had a great respect for womanhood. I don't know how he came by this, but possibly, as I said, from our tribe. Maybe this was a virtue that most men don't have, but he had it. A great respect for womanhood. See, Malcolm made every sacrifice that I don't know any other man who made these sacrifices. Malcolm made every sacrifice to make himself whole, a man, worthy of saying to you, do something about yourself, young lady. Or saying to a young man, get up and take your bed and walk. This is how Malcolm affected me. This is how I saw him.
Was Malcolm searching when he went abroad, traveled abroad for the period of time?
Yes. This is why I say he was ready. Malcolm broadened his scope. Much of what he learned abroad gave him a mature approach to the black man's problem. On his return from Africa, after traveling and spending time with all of the black leaders and revolutionary leaders, Malcolm came home a man. No frustrations, no emotional problems, no desire for material gains, which is one of the greatest assets a man can acquire, is to lose that desire for material gains. Lose that value on that man's dollar. Malcolm had cast aside all of this. He walked into my house. He told me he was going to speak at Harvard that night. He spoke at Harvard Law Forum. After he came back to the house, I gave him a diploma. Tonight, Malcolm, you're a man.
How deep is that? Malcolm X, one of the most powerful voices in world history. Many people loved and feared him, but he didn't get his stamp of approval of being a man until it came from this woman, his big sister, Ella Collins. Now, something else about this great woman, Ella Collins, people, she was a real estate investor, a property owner. She also started a black school called the Sarah A. Little School of Preparatory Arts in Boston. At this school, they were taught academics, math, science, the Quran, Swahili, other languages. Malcolm X said, I've said before, this is a strong, big, black, Georgia-born woman. Her domineering ways had gotten her put out of the Nation of Islam's Boston Mosque 11. They took her back, and then she left again on her own. Now, Ella was a strong go-getter, people. When Malcolm X was martyred, it was Ella who identified his body. It was Ella who financed and made sure he had a proper Islamic burial. It was Ella who took over his organization of Afro-American Unity, including his project of giving 35 scholarships for black students to travel over to Egypt and study, and the University of Ghana to study abroad. Man, this woman, she did a lot of work. There's a whole lot to her. This video can go on and on. This woman was very protective over Malcolm's legacy. She called the film, the Malcolm X movie, and the writings that came after his death. She said this is symbolism without substance. She felt that his deeply held Islamic beliefs and vision were being downplayed, and his more mature political ideas had been erased with the removal of 5 chapters of the autobiography of Alex Haley's final manuscript. As Ella got older, the onset of diabetes led to the amputation of both of her legs. She had limited mobility, but she was still an outspoken citizen on many issues. And in the year 1996, at the age of 82, Ella passed away. Easy.